Hey everyone, Andrew Chelman here with a machine/sound design quick tip. First of all, let me apologize for the noise in the background. I have some hard drives going, but with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with this little video. So I was working on a project. Here I'll show you how it sounds just so you get an idea. It's a pretty mellow project just with some piano, drums, and bass at the moment. But the thing I want to talk about right now is drums, and more specifically the snare sound design. So I'll go ahead and just mute my other groups so we can focus on the drums. And I want to show you how I work with this snare. It took me a little bit to figure it out, and right now it's at the beginning stages of where I was. So I just had this first snare sample here. All I had was that playing, and it sounded like this. Now I knew that I wanted to add something else. So what I did is I searched through my sample library and found an acoustic sample, and it sounded something like this. This is actually the affected sound, so if I go over and work with my plugin here, I have Transient Master loaded on here, and I actually use this to cut out the sustain and sharpen up the attack a little bit. And before it sounded more like this, you sort of have that ringing sound, so I took down the sustain, made it a little bit sharper, and it sounded like this. And I wanted to layer this in with my original sample, so I did this using the pad mode pad link. So I'll go ahead and enter that here just with this button and just set both of these to group number 1. And so I did that and then played it back, and here's how it sounded. Now in context, if I unmute these, now it's pretty subtle, but if you listen closely you can hear a slight difference there. And I also did some mixing, so if I go into the mixer here, I changed the pan and the level with these. So if you look at the level, I just did this by ear just to get something that sounded good to me. And the panning, I just turned one a little bit to the left and the other to a right. And that's nothing extreme, just a little bit of stereo separation there. But it sounded just a little bit better with those mixing changes. So it sounded like this. And that was better than how it was originally, but I wanted to add one more thing. So again, I went back to the sample library and found this sort of clap snap sound. And I wanted to add this in, but I didn't just want to layer it in the same time as the other two samples. I think it can get a little bit complicated if you have everything playing at the same time. So what I did was actually this little cool trick that gave me an offset feel to the snare layered sample. So to do this, what I did, I went into the sample edit menu here, sample to edit tab, and then the first thing I did was actually duplicate the sound. So I'll go ahead and select, let me see, I'll select the beginning here, and then go over to duplicate. I'll do that, and then I went to the original start sound. Let me zoom in here, and then basically just deleted this first duplicated one, and I did that using, where is it, the silence feature. So I did that, and this gave me basically a little bit of silence at the beginning of the sample. Now once I had this, I could go ahead and change the start point to get an offset feel. So right now if you play it, right now if you play it, it has a very long beginning silence to it, but what you can do is bring in the start range, and then you can get a slight offset feel. And so I layered that in using pad link again, so I put this on group 1, and so now it sounded like this. So you can hear it's very offset because I have so much silence at the beginning, but I go back to the edit menu, and then I'm just going to change the start point as it's playing back and get a good sound. So here we go. So you can just slightly hear that clap in the background. It doesn't happen at the same time as the other two samples, and becomes a little bit later and gives that cool offset feel. And then if I unmute the other groups and show you how it sounds in context, I really like how it turned out. So I can go ahead and mute and unmute this sound just to give you an idea of what that little clap adds to the overall sound. So that's all I wanted to show you in this video. I just wanted to show you the possibilities you can find using snare mixing and layering those different samples. So hopefully this gives you some cool ideas. Let me know what you think in the comments, and stay tuned for next week's video. Thanks for watching.